What if Zeus, Indra, Thor, and Perun were not four gods, but one, separated by oceans, born from cultures that never met? Yet each one rides the clouds, commands the lightning, and watches from above, thousands of miles apart, thousands of years divided. And still, the thunder answers to the same voice. The sky has always frightened us. It crashes, it burns. It punishes from a height no spear can reach, so we gave it a name. And when that wasn't enough, we gave it many. Zeus, Indra, Thor, Perun. But what if these were never different gods? What if they were fragments of one ancient terror passed through the lips of a migrating people, echoing across time? The lightning bolt in the sky was always aimed at us. We just gave it different names as we fled its fire. This is not merely a story about language. It is a story about inheritance, about breath that survives bone. It is the story of how a sound uttered by forgotten mouths can ripple through time with more force than any army. Language is not just communication. It is transmission of memory, of fear, of power. Somewhere, over 6,000 years ago, between the Black Sea and the Caspian, a people began speaking something utterly original. A language with no writing, no dictionary, no conscious design, only rhythm, survival, and sound. They called the sky god Daiwas. They had words for mother, for horse, for death. And they carried them, not in scrolls, but in breath, across rivers, across mountains, across time. Their descendants would fracture, war, forget. But the words endured. They were carved into stone by Latin scribes. They were sung in Sanskrit hymns beside the Ganges. They were murmured by merchants in ancient Persia. They were shouted in Germanic forests and Viking seas. Today, over 3 billion people speak their legacy in Portuguese, in Persian, in Punjabi, in Polish, in English. This is not coincidence. It is cultural gravity, a hidden map of history encoded in grammar and myth. This is the Indo-European family, a chain unbroken by empire, catastrophe, or forgetting. A bloodline made not of DNA, but of syntax. And still we ask, how did a language with no alphabet carve its will into time itself? How did nomads without cities plant the seeds of civilization in our very mouths? Subscribe to MystiFeed. We were not shaped for survival. We have no claws, no fur, no armor. Our children are born helpless, our senses dull. And yet, we endured, because we could speak, we could warn, we could lie, we could remember. Language is not a luxury. It is the oldest tool, older than the wheel, older than agriculture, older even than the gods we made with it. It was not born in comfort. It was born beside fire, beneath stars, in fear, before cities rose, before kings ruled. Before gods had temples, we had words, spoken in the dark, hissed to tell a brother, danger, chanted to tell a child, you belong, cried to tell the sky, have mercy. Around 4,500 years before Common Era, a group of people emerged on the Pontic-Caspian steppe, a vast grassland stretching across what is now southern Russia and Ukraine. They did not leave behind palaces. They did not build ziggurats or carve statues, but they left something far more enduring. They moved, and they spoke. They are now known as the Yamnaya. nomadic herders, riders of wagons, riders of horses, warriors who buried their dead in great mounds with weapons and animal bones and a sense of the world beyond. They had no writing system, but they had language, a proto-tongue, ancient and wild, pulsing with myth. From their mouths came Phta father, Meter mother. Dai was the shining sky god who sees all. These were not decorations. They were survival codes. To name the storm was to understand it. To understand was to control. This was not language as convenience. It was language as weapon, as magic, as memory. Their words spread like wildfire. Long after their bones turned to dust, the syllables endured changing, mutating, but never dying. They are in your mouth now. The Yamnaya did not build empires. They did not raise marble statues or mint gold coins. But they carried something more durable than stone, a living language. They did not settle. They spread, like wind-driven fire across dry grass. From the boundless open grasslands of what is now southern Russia and Ukraine, they began to move westward into the dense forests and fertile valleys of Europe, eastward across the sweeping steppes of Central Asia, southward toward the bronze cities of Mesopotamia and the rugged passes of Anatolia. They moved not as conquerors in the modern sense, but as carriers of genes, of stories, of sound. Where they passed, their language split like a river, forking, twisting, reshaping itself through new mouths, new needs, new gods. Each child was a crucible. Each generation, a transformation. What began as a single tongue on the steppe became dozens across the world. Some would rise to command empires. Others would vanish into dust. But all were born from the same ancestral breath. Sanskrit, alive in the Rig Veda, praising gods that once galloped across the sky. Latin, inscribed in marble, forming the legal skeleton of a continent. Greek, sharp with logic and myth, debating the soul, shaping drama. Old Norse, blood-soaked and storm-lashed, roaring sagas across frozen seas. Tocharian, drifting like sand in the deserts of western China, once spoken by monks along the Silk Road, now almost silent. And through all of them, one figure endured. The Sky Father. He was Daiwas to the Proto-Indo-Europeans, Dyaus Pitter to the Vedic priests of ancient India, Zeus to the Hellenes, enthroned atop Olympus, Jupiter to the Romans, lord of lightning and law, Daiwas to the Germanic tribes, war god and father. And in the north, where storms never sleep, Thor, Perun, Perkinus, different names, same roar. These were not simply parallel myths. They were echoes carried on the wind of language. They spread not only by war, but by warmth, by campfire stories, by lullabies, by prayers offered to a thundercloud, by parents explaining the sky to frightened children. This is how culture survives extinction, not in monuments or weapons, but in sound passed from throat to throat long after memory fades. Today, linguists call this reconstruction. But what they are doing is resurrection. We think we speak modern languages, but we do not. We speak palimpsests layer upon layer of forgotten breath. Today, we walk through a world of glowing screens and satellite clouds, but inside our mouths still live the bones of the Bronze Age, the word mother, from Meter, brother from Bur, Tur, star from Hechistar, name from Nomen. They are so common, so daily, They go unnoticed, and yet they are ancient. You use them every day without realizing. You are speaking the tongues of the dead. The root bur to carry survives in birth, burden, barrow. It carried meaning across 6 millennia. It still carries you. The word for king was Rege. From it came Rex Latin, Raja Sanskrit, Reich German. Different crowns. Same throne. Same breath. Even the week you live by remembers the gods. Tuesday for Tiw, Wednesday for Woden, Thursday for Thor, Friday for Frigg. You move through myth every 7 days without knowing it. This is not nostalgia. This is not coincidence. This is proof. That language is the most enduring structure humanity has ever built. It does not need stone. It does not need power. It only needs you to speak, to forget, to inherit. Language is the oldest ghost, and it still haunts your breath. The Yamnaya did not build kingdoms. They built kinship through voice. They rode with fire. They buried their dead beneath the steppe, and they whispered to the sky, Dewas. They did not intend to shape the future, but they did. Not through conquest, but through continuity. Their language survived the fall of empires, the silence of plagues, the collapse of memory. Their words live in lullabies, in wedding vows, in battlefield commands, in the terms we use for family, for time, for power, for love. You speak the breath of the dead. You pray in syllables older than stone. You carry their gods in your grammar. And somewhere in your speech between Father, Day, and God, he still listens. The Sky Father, Daiwas. So ask yourself, if a forgotten God can survive in a word, what else have we buried in language? What dreams, what fears, what names, and which lost tongue should we resurrect next?